All right, guys. So yesterday we talked about adding and subtracting fractions, and today we are adding and subtracting decimals. Now, this will not be nearly as time consuming as yesterday was. I can assure you of that. All right. There are a few things you need to remember when we are adding and subtracting decimals. The first thing is we will always rewrite our problem vertically. Okay, so a lot of times they'll give it to us out horizontally, but we're going to rewrite it vertically. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing is always write the largest number on top. Otherwise, we're going to have issues when we start subtracting or adding. Not so much adding, but definitely subtracting. All right, the next thing. This is very important. This was not the case when we were multiplying and dividing, but it is the case when we're adding and subtracting. Always line up your decimals. Always line up your decimals. Always, always, always. Okay? And then the last thing is you will use zeros to fill in where there are empty spaces. And that'll make more sense in a minute, okay? So you're going to use zeros to fill in where there are empty spaces. So those are the steps that we're going to use. Now, as we do it, it's just going to become like second nature to you. We're just going to do it, and you're not even going to think about it anymore. All right, so let's look at this. Let's say we've got 15.23 minus 12.5. Okay? So 15.23 minus 12.5. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is right here. I'm going to rewrite it vertically, and I'm going to write the largest number on top. So these two kind of go hand in hand. All right, so which number is bigger, 15 or 12? Okay, the 15 is. So I'm going to bring minus 12.5. Always line up your decimals. You see how I lined up my decimals? I lined up my decimals. When you do that, that decimal point comes straight down. These decimals always have to be in a straight line. Okay? Now, this last one, use zeros to fill in where there are empty spaces. Do you notice right here where the 3 has nothing under it? This is an empty space. So this is what we're talking about. You can put a 0 there. We can add zeros all day long. It's not going to change the value. It just helps us see things better. Now we're going to do our subtraction. So 3 minus 0 is 3. Can I say 5 minus 2? No. So I'm going to have to make that a 12. This becomes a 4. So 12 minus 5 is 7. 4 minus 2 is 2. Now, what number is bigger, the 15 or the 12? The 15. That means my answer is positive. So my answer is 2.73. Okay? So that is all 4 steps. And you don't technically do them in different orders. You kind of all do them together. These two you do together. with this one. They kind of all go together. And then the last thing you do is you put those zeros in if you need them. Are you always going to need to add zeros? No, not necessarily. But you will sometimes. Okay? So you just have to kind of look at it and see where you are and decide what you need to do. All right? All right. So let's erase this one. All right. Oh, it's erasing better since I cleaned my board differently. Yay! All right, so let's look at 24.276 minus 54.3. All right. So now we need to rewrite it vertically. Which number is going to go on the top? Well, which number is bigger? 54.3, isn't it? So I have 54.3. And then I have 24.276. So 24 decimals have to line up. 276. My signs the same or different? This one's positive, this one's negative, so they're different. So I am going to subtract. Now, this is where you got to be careful. Because, yes, I'm subtracting, and you probably would have said, well, duh, it says subtraction, Miss Long. Well, I know that. But if I had put a negative right here, what would you have done? You'd have added. But the point is this. We are subtracting, but is my answer going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative because my bigger number is negative. So when you rewrite it, we've now moved the negative in front of the 24, haven't we? That's just because of how we wrote it. So what I would do if I were you is I would decide if my answer was positive or negative before I started anything else so I didn't forget. And I'm going to go ahead and put my negative down here because I know my answer is going to be negative. That way I don't forget, okay? Don't want you to mess up your sign rules. I don't want you to do all this work and then mess up your sign rules and get the wrong answer. Now, here's another instance where I've got to add in some zeros. You see, there's nothing here. Okay, so what do? Well, this is where we add in zeros. Those are going to come in handy right now. All right? So now, can I say take 6 from 0? No. So I've got to make that a 10. This is now a 9, and this is now a 2. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 7 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0, and that decimal comes straight down. Remember, they have to line up all the way down. 4 minus 4 is 0, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So my final answer is negative 30.024. That's my final answer. Okay? If you remember to line up your decimals, and you add in those zeros where you don't have numbers if you need them, then decimals, adding and subtracting decimals should not be a problem. All right, so that's that one. Let's look at another one. All right, let's say that I gave you this. Are my signs the same? Yes. So what am I actually going to do? Here I'm actually going to add, aren't I? But my answer is going to be what? My answer is going to be negative. So I have 16.2 plus 14.037, but my answer is going to be negative. Now, if you want to, you could do this, or you could leave it out. Doesn't really matter. And then you've got your zeros that you need to add in. So now, what's 0 plus 7? 7. What's 0 plus 3? 3. What's 2 plus 0? 2. Bring that decimal straight down. Here we go. They have to line up. 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry your 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So my final answer is negative 30.237. Okay? And that is literally all there is to adding and subtracting decimals. I can't really see that decimal good. Sorry about that. There you go. All right, so that's it. Kind of short video for today, but that is literally all you're doing. Now make sure you watch the little Loom video to take you through filling in the blanks. And I've done another example with you. All right, so make sure you watch that, but that's literally it, guys. Okay, just remember your sign rules. Your sign rules are still the same. If both my signs are positive, I add and keep sign. If both my signs are negative, which they are here, I add and keep sign. If one's positive and one's negative, I subtract, and I keep the sign of the larger number. All right? All right, guys. Go watch your Bitmoji video, fill in the blanks, and get your assignments done. And I will see you tomorrow. We're going to be working on word problems. Bye, guys.